Good morning, evening, or afternoon, everybody. It's Kaghoe coming at you with another video. So we got a plethora of new changes and hotfixes. Probably the most amount of changes and things that we have gotten in a single post since Phase 8 dropped, and I am all for it. Love to see it. And without further ado, we're going to switch right over to it and dive right into all these awesome notes. So, the effects of the Conundrum Wand will no longer occasionally fall off. That's really good. I hate when, these wands and weapons and sword things get really cool and new effects, and then they just don't work properly. Hunter. Explosive Shot now correctly benefits from the Moral Shot's talent and deals increased critical strike damage. Explosive Shot will no longer benefit from the Scarlet Enclave 2-set range bonus. Explosive Shot's damage over time portion can no longer return a miss, but the initial application of Explosive Shot still can. So apparently it was going off, the dot was missing, so that's really interesting. I'm not sure how big of a change or nerf or whatever this is with the first two. I don't play a hunter, but initially it seems like a readjustment, like they're moving the Scarlet 2-set range bonus to the Moral Strikes talent, so it gets increased critical still, but I don't actually know, so we'll have to see how that plays out. But it seems more of a readjustment than a straight up nerf to the ground, but I'm sure you hunter players will tell me if I'm wrong on that. Rogue. The Fallen Regality set will now correctly restore energy to the rogue after casting Crimson Tempest. That's good. That's using the King's Fall and Queen's Fall set, which is the KT Dagger, and then something from Scarlet. I'm not sure which boss drops the Queen's Fall, but it's a really cool set to get both of, and awesome that they kind of are making Nax still relevant and something that people want to go after and do. Then we have Enhancement Tier 3 pieces can now also be traded for Elemental Tier 3 pieces until April 28th. This is great. They made a massive change in nearly every shaman in my guild. I didn't know that it wasn't just tank shamans. Every shaman in my guild was using the Enhancement 2 piece, so all of our Ellie shamans as well had that, so being able to swap to their proper gear will be massively beneficial. Next, we have everyone's favorite class, Warrior. The Scarlet Enclave Protection Warrior 2-set bonus has had its damage on Shockwave increased to 60%, was 35%, so Shockwave's going to be doing a lot more damn. Warriors in Season of Discovery now have an additional 10% reduction to damage taken while in defensive stance, so tanks are just 10% more tankier, so people might, use Warrior tanks for once. Then threat generated from Furious Thunder Rune was increased to 75%, was 50%. The attack power ratio of Thunderclap in Season of Discovery has been increased to 7%, was 5%. Now, this is really interesting because this is like a core spell change, and they usually don't do this. They kind of tweak the runes, they kind of tweak the set bonuses, they tweak us every way except for like going into like exact power ratios. I really don't think they've done this very often, if at all, so that's really cool to see them be able to do that. Thunderclap now uses your ranged hit chance to land and can return a miss, was spell hit chance, and can return a resist. So this is another tweak that I think will be better, similar to how Paladins got their Avenging Shields tweaked. I think this will be a lot better. Then we have Engraving Defense Specialization onto your ring will grant Thunderclap a 3% chance to hit and make up for the fact that Weapon Skill does not use it normally. So once again, same thing as we saw with the last one with Paladins, Warriors sort of getting that same treatment. Thunderclap is now capable of landing a critical strike. Because of this, Thunderclap now benefits from a Pale. Just to be clear and set expectations with interactions, Thunderclap will not apply deep wounds upon landing a critical strike. That would be pretty funny if it did. But, that's how they sort of change it and make it work. But that's good to know. Essentially, they're making Tank Warrior good, viable, and massively buffed. Devastate's damage per stack of Sunder has been increased to 15%, was 10%. Currently, Devastate is weaker than a basic attack. This should bring it more in line as a filler without being overtaken by Thunderclap as a way to deal damage. So, once again, just pretty much buffing the crap out of Prot Warriors. I guess Prot Warriors the least played. I know Warriors are like one of the least played classes right now also, other than, Horde Ashbringer. But pretty much pretty low play rate for what they normally are in that classic hero class. So good to see tank warriors there. Probably won't end up using one or swapping to them because for Scarlet Enclave, you have to have like full phase pre-bit. Like you have to have Nax Bis to go in there. So like we'd have to gear a new one up and do all that fun stuff. So it's good on paper, but I doubt it'll really be implemented for a while. Then the Scarlet Enclave, big changes here. Scarlet Arrow, Multi-Shot, Aim Shot, Holy Cleave, Ignite Flesh, Wild Fisher, Pleated Secrets, and Unstable Concoction will no longer deal damage to pets. So the pets are now saved. We love to see that. Those are pretty much all the big boss AoEs that really have just kind of one-shot people. They one-shot people, so like they're absolutely obliterating pets, but it's mechanics on nearly every boss, and they're big avoid this mechanic that pets don't really care about. Then we have specific nerfs. Balnazar, you can no longer release during the ending RP of the Balnazar encounter. Players who are dead will now be teleported with the rest of the raid when the RP at the end of Balnazar encounter finishes. Beatrix's portion of the RP before the prison should now be visible to players even if they are further away. Balnazar's encounter should always result in a lootable chest even if everyone dies during the ending of the encounter. That is a really interesting bug that I did not know existed. So because Karen Swarm could be on everyone and it was kind of close originally, it's been nerfed a lot. So people could die during the sleep because it didn't remove the swarm. So it'd be like you completed the fight but you raid wiped at the same time. And I guess the chest wasn't lootable. So that is really interesting. But as you can see, the change should, they changed it yesterday, I believe, to make it a little bit better. And then if there are remaining light bearers at the end of the fight, they will now correctly despawn. I never saw that, so that's cool to know that I guess they were there and then they also despawned. So let's see what some people have to say about this. So great, now you guys can award all the loot to all the raids that didn't get it week 1 because of this ridiculous bug, please. I don't know how many raids there were that this happened to. I didn't even know it existed, so it couldn't have been that crazy of an occurrence. And then, so this dude says a typo with the explosive shot no longer benefiting. Like I said, I'm sure the hunters will definitely have a lot to say about this if I'm wrong that it's not a readjustment. But it seems like they just redistributed power. And then, hey, so effectively buffing Soul Straza was a bad idea, actually. So that they didn't really buff it too hard. The problem is that she'll sit there and she will cast all of her spells, so she can't be positioned properly. As a tank, it was an absolute nightmare, and the Solid Savior struggled on it a ton. We did get the kill, but like she sat there for over a minute and a half. So they need to find out some way, or like add 5 seconds in between each cast, because a boss sitting in fire for a minute, well, the only thing to do is AFK or deal with whelps. It really just sucks. And so, yeah, I hope they find some better solution. I understand that if it was kickable, you kicked it, and that kind of holy locked the boss. So, like, if you were kicking the spell, you didn't really see a lot of the other stuff. So that was the problem. So just, I don't know what the solution is at this point. We were able to get her down, but it was much, much, much harder than the week before. But anyway, guys, I truly hope you enjoyed this. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. And until next time, I'll see you later. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Hey, you. Yes, you. Are you still there? Well, I appreciate you for taking the time to watch this entire video and making it to the end here. If you enjoyed this video, definitely check out the other videos about World of Warcraft listed in these playlists down below. And thank you again. Have a great day. Bye-bye.